We just can't stop talking about what we saw last evening. In fact, we even requested Nandan Bal to come on our show and talk to us. He is a tennis coach and chairman of selectors of the All India Tennis Association. And he's joining us now from Pune. Nandan, 2023 final, five-setter, almost as long as the 2019 final between Federer and Djokovic, but peculiar, rather, I'd say special in a different way. Battle of generations, shall we say, where we saw a pair of younger legs who signaled a generational shift of sorts in the sport.
Yeah, that's right. I think, basically at the end of towards the end of the fifth set, it was very clear that the 20-year-old legs were far, far stronger than the 36-year-old legs. There were some shots that Djokovic would never have missed, but he just wasn't in position. And I think that had a lot to do with his legs. And I think that's a sign of things to come. Very clearly, the next gen is caught up, and you're going to see a lot more of Carlos going forward. Not just, of course, Carlos, but there are 3 or 4 of them that are now ready to take on. It was in doubt at the French Open, where Djokovic was the absolute master. But here on a faster surface, I think it was the younger legs that played a major role in Carlos winning his first Grand Slam on grass.
Right, and not to forget, he defeated a gentleman who hadn't lost on that very grass court in 10 years. And when Djokovic did lose a match there 10 years ago, Carlos Alcaraz was only 10 years old. Well, I had to mention that. Nandan, tell me what happened here. French Open semi-final against Djokovic, Alcaraz gets the cramps. Even here, he did come back, but after being blown away in the first set. And there were times during the match we could tell that the 36-year-old was playing a 20-year-old.
So actually, the first set, my personal feeling, I was watching the match, obviously, and my feeling was that I think the whole ambience and the expectation of the crowd from Alcaraz just got to be too much for him. And I think he just took a lot longer to settle down. His nerves took a lot longer to settle down. Djokovic has been there before, done that enough number of times. And so he actually got into his groove a lot quicker than what Alcaraz did. And that's why the first set went the way it did. But the moment Alcaraz found his rhythm in that second set, there was no stopping him for almost a set and a half after that. Till the fourth set, I think Alcaraz was just completely dominating the match. And somewhere in the middle of the fourth set, in his exuberance, he missed an easy volley which would have given him a point to go ahead. And the moment he missed that, I think his whole bubble burst. And that's where he lost momentum and gave Djokovic a chance to come back into the match. But for those 2.5 sets, it was flawless tennis.
Now, we know that Djokovic was thwarted in his bid to tie Federer's 8 titles. The chance to win 5 straight and also another shot at a career slam. It's early to say this, but that is the end of an era. But has the baton now well and truly been passed? Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I even if it's not been passed, it's certainly up there. I mean, it's on the way of being passed. So you have Tsitsipas, you have Thiem, you've got Zverev, you've obviously got Alcaraz, you've got Sinner. There's 7 or 8 of them who are obviously sniping at Djokovic's heels, and I think Djokovic is going to find it more and more difficult to sustain what he has, to achieve more than what he has. And yes, I think to a large extent today, one felt at the end of the match that there was a very tired looking Djokovic, which normally one doesn't see.
Now, some things did stand out for us while watching as fans. Alcaraz's youthful exuberance, his firing up of the crowd, those exquisite drop shots also need to be mentioned. From a coaching perspective, tell us, what did he do right to hold Djokovic's center court brigade and express over there?
Well, I think to be honest, he just played a ridiculously high-risk game. I mean, drop shots are not something that you want to play against Djokovic or at that level. You don't hit too many drop shots, especially in that. I think it was the last game of the fifth set when he actually missed the first drop shot and then went on to hit the second point, won the second point on the drop shot again. And that's just high-risk tennis. That entire fifth set, I think Carlos Alcaraz just went for broke. And that's not what most coaching manuals would prescribe. But that's actually what helped him win the match. Because even if he had brought his pace down by maybe 10 or 15%, I think Djokovic would have hung in there. And at the end of the day, when it goes to 5-all, 6-all in the final set, it's the experienced player that actually pulls it off. But Carlos, with the kind of pace he set in that fifth set, I think just took it away from Djokovic.
Right. Nandan, quite a lot of similarities with Rafa. Alcaraz did emerge as a clay court player, but he's equally adept on hard courts where he won his first slam. And now he has the grass court win, another Grand Slam at that. Djokovic himself has said that he's got the best of Roger, Rafa and himself. Now, there are very few all-surface players in the sport. Talk to us about how remarkably Alcaraz has adapted to all these three.
Yes, I mean, if you had looked at him 6 months ago, he was just a guy who would come up to the net to shake hands. And today you saw him play serve volley. This whole tournament, actually, you saw him play serve volley. You saw him come into the net a lot. You saw him, with so much variety. Most clay courters, when they play, they just play a very one-dimensional game from the back of the court. They're solid from the back of the court, both flanks. But here's the guy who's not ready, who's not happy to be just on the back of the court. He's ready to come in. He's ready to cover the entire court. And he's got a range of shots, which is very unusual for a clay courter. So yes, he's very beautifully adapted to a grass court, to playing on a surface where the ball stays very low with the kind of grips that he plays with. I think what he did was monumental.
Thought we should talk about this. Now, there is an entire generation which emerged to the challenge of the big three, Federer, Nadal and Djokovic. They haven't been able to win multiple slams, if at all win even one. Alcaraz has two. Can we say that this 20-year-old will take tennis into the post-big three era? Can you say that?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about the fact that Alcaraz is here for a very long time, barring injury, of course, which is part and parcel of the game. But I think barring injury, these 4 or 5 players that I spoke about earlier are going to be around for a very long time. And I think Alcaraz is going to lead that pack because he has a complete game. He has the physical strength. And I think when you watch him play, one gets the feeling that he's actually loving what he's doing. He's smiling, he's laughing. He's not getting down too hard on himself when he loses a point. He's saying to himself, hey, that's okay. Let me come back, win the next one. And he's smiling. So that's really a hallmark of a champion, where he's not worried about little things. And so he's going to lead this pack going into the next 10 years. And he's going to be up in front.
Well, he had us smiling too. To many more of those interesting and happy matches. We have another Grand Slam starting in a month and a half from now, and we just cannot shake off that feeling that Djokovic will have his revenge on his mind when he plays Alcaraz in the US.